What do you think of when you hear Indian food? You probably think of curry, right? Big, bold, spicy curry. What if I told you curry isn't real? Seriously. The word curry is just a British bastardization of the Tamil word curry, which just means sauce. And that curry powder you buy in a jar, that's a British invention, an attempt to bottle a philosophy that's way too big for a bottle. The real origin of Indian food, it's not a dish. It's a 5,000-year-old story. It's a story about an ancient civilization of agricultural geniuses who used a secret farming trick that predated Egypt and China by 1,000 years. And it's a story of a global trade, a 5,000-year-old Arab monopoly, and the insane lies merchants told about poisonous snakes to protect the secret of cinnamon. This is the real origin of the food that shaped the world. Stick around. Okay, so to find the origin of Indian food, you have to go all the way back to the origin of Indian civilization, the Indus Valley Civilization, 5,000 years ago. In part 1, we talked about their miracle plumbing and their silent, unreadable language, but their real genius, the thing that allowed them to feed 5 million people, was their food. And no, it wasn't just wheat. See, the Indus was in a unique spot, a meteorological crossroads. Unlike Mesopotamia, which only got winter rain, and unlike China, which only got summer monsoons, the Indus Valley got both. And here's the aha moment. Every other great civilization at the time, they only farmed one season. Mesopotamia had its winter crops like wheat and barley. China had its summer crops like rice and millet. You had one shot. If a drought hit, your civilization starved. The Indus farmers, they were the first people on Earth to figure out complex multi-cropping. They planted winter crops, wheat, barley, peas, vetches, and then in the same year they also planted summer crops, domesticated rice, millet, and tropical beans like urad and horse gram. This is revolutionary. This is a 5,000-year-old sustainable food economy. By growing 2 different sets of crops, they diversified. They mitigated risk from climate shifts. If the winter rains failed, the summer monsoon would save them. If the monsoon failed, the winter crops would pull them through. This is the foundation. This is the canvas of Indian food. We know this because we've found the grains. We found foxtail millet in Harappan sites dated to 2500 BCE. We found pearl millet or bajra and sorghum or jawad dating back to the Neolithic. They built their entire civilization on this 2-season agricultural genius. And this system, the rice, the wheat, the millets, it's still the foundation of India's food today. But the grains are just the canvas, the paint. The thing that makes it art is the spices. And the story of spices is the story of how India changed the entire world. Hey, we're on a journey here, all 10 parts, to decode these hidden origins. If you're enjoying this, if you're learning something, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. It's totally free and it tells YouTube we're doing something right so we can keep making this series for you. Thanks. The peppercorn, this tiny dried berry, is the single most important ingredient in modern history. This is why empires rose. This is why empires fell. This is why men like Vasco da Gama and Christopher Columbus sailed into the unknown, risking everything just to find the source of this. The story of spices, it's a 5,000-year-old story of a global monopoly, industrial espionage, and fantastic lies. See, from the very beginning, India was the global hub for the spice trade. We're talking cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, and the king, black pepper. And this stuff wasn't just for food, it was magic. It was medicine. The Sushruta Samhita, an ancient surgical text from the 4th century BCE, mentions spices for healing and antiseptic purposes. Other medical texts from 2,000 years ago list cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, turmeric, and pepper for healing. In Ayurveda, cloves and cardamom were wrapped in betel nut leaves and chewed to aid digestion. The first people to control this trade were the Arabs, and for almost 5,000 years, they had a total monopoly. They were the only ones who knew how to sail directly to the spice-producing lands of India. They'd bring the spices back to Arabia and then sell them to the Romans, or later the Venetians, for insane prices. So how did they protect their secret source for 5 millennia? They lied. No, seriously, they invented the most fantastic tales to scare off any competitors. The Roman writer Pliny the Elder, writing 2,000 years ago, complained about these fantastic tales. According to the Arab merchants, cassia, that grew in shallow lakes, guarded by winged animals. Cinnamon, you had no idea. That grew in deep, dark glens infested with poisonous snakes. Pliny, who was not an idiot, wrote that these stories were evidently invented for the purpose of enhancing the price of these commodities. You think? The lies, they didn't work forever. The Romans got wise. They figured out the sea routes, and under their rule, Alexandria and Egypt became the greatest commercial center on Earth, the central hub for all the pungent aromatic spices coming out of India. We even have ancient Tamil texts that record Greek merchants showing up in India and buying massive sacks of black pepper. This trade defined the world. When Rome fell, the trade faltered, but the demand never went away. In the Middle Ages, the trade revived. Pepper was so valuable, it was called black gold. It was used as currency. And that is what kicks off the Age of Discovery. All of it, all those ships sailing into the dark, it was all about one thing: breaking the Arab-Venetian monopoly and finding a direct sea route to India. And in 1498, the Portuguese captain Vasco da Gama did it. He sailed around Africa and landed in Kozhikode on the southwest coast of India. And the haul he brought back, nutmeg, cloves, cinnamon, ginger, and peppercorns, it changed everything. The Portuguese crown monopolized the pepper trade, and then everyone else followed. The Dutch came, the British came. In 1600, the British established the East India Company. For what? To trade in spices. The entire history of the British Raj, the entire next 300 years of India's story, can be traced right back to the smell of this. So, back to curry. Why is that word so wrong? Because curry powder is a static thing. It's one flavor. But masala, which is the real heart of Indian cooking, is not a thing. It's a philosophy. It's the idea that every dish, for every family at every meal, has its own unique, fresh ground blend of spices. It's the 5,000-year-old medical wisdom of Ayurveda, knowing that ginger and turmeric are for healing and cloves are for digestion, combined with the 5,000-year-old agricultural genius of the Indus Valley, the rice, the wheat, the millet. The origin of Indian food, it's not a recipe, it's history. It's the story of a civilization that was so advanced, it figured out sustainable, multi-season farming while the rest of the world was still stuck on one. And it's the story of a treasure, black pepper, cinnamon, cardamom, so powerful, so desirable, that the entire world went to war, discovered continents, and built global empires just to get it. The real origin of Indian food, it's the origin of the modern world. So, the land part 1 set the stage, the language part 2 gave it a voice, and the food part 3 built its global reputation. But what about the people? How did the society organize itself? Next time, we tackle one of the most complex, most controversial, and most misunderstood ideas in India's history. We're talking about the customs and the origin of a social structure that has lasted for 3,000 years. The Varnas, the caste system. It's not what you think. And it's next in Part 4. What's the wildest food fact you learned today? The multi-cropping? The winged animals guarding the cassia legs? Let me know in the comments. And please like and subscribe. It helps us keep digging. See you!